So hello, everybody. My name is Lisa Simmons, director of the Roxbury International Film Festival. I'm so excited to have you here with us today with filmmakers who are really sort of telling stories for and about the next generation. We have a bunch of Boston Arts Academy folks and other folks who are on with us today, and I am just going to ask them to introduce themselves, to talk a little bit about their films, and then we'll get into some other discussions with all of them. So without further ado, I would like to throw it over to Chris, who did the film Beez and Chickadeez. So Chris, can you just introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your film?
Sure. Hi, my name's Chris Milton, and I directed and co-wrote the Beez and the Chickadeez. And it was a part of my thesis film. It was my thesis film for graduating from BU last year, 2019. And so my intent with telling the Beez and the Chickadeez, first off, is the title. I wanted to give a little spin-off of the birds and the bees story, and I wanted to, much like what the Wiz, I don't know if you guys seen the Wiz, but much like what the Wiz is to the Wizard of Oz, I kind of wanted the Beez and the Chickadeez to be like, you know, the black version of the birds and the bees talk, and so I just wanted to dive into my personal experience as a kid growing up, and kind of shed light on what was a serious topic for a lot of people, and that is the story of two adolescent kids who get kind of caught up falling under the influence of their peers, and so it's a story of two kids, you know, going against the influences of their peers in modern culture, and kind of shedding light on sometimes you think something is going to be a certain way and it doesn't turn out that way at all, and so hence the ending for those who saw it. The couple doesn't end up working out, and they kind of end up on
spoiler alert.
They kind of end up on opposite sides of where they started. So it's just the adolescent story against about influence and going against those forces.
Excellent. Ashley, what about you?
Hi, my film was called It Still Grows, and it was about a girl and her journey in trying to figure out quarantine and how she kind of deals with it. My inspiration for that was, I remember, because in my bathroom there's a window where I can like see right into the trees, and this was like in the beginning of quarantine where like winter's kind of leaving and spring's coming, and I'm like, well, hey, like the trees are still growing, the weather's getting better, you know, even though it feels kind of dark inside and like I'm not able to see my friends or like do the things I usually do, I'm still able to watch nature grow and the world's still moving. So I thought that was really important and interesting because I'd never seen that before because I'm so busy with everything in my life. I didn't notice that the world grows, just like right now how the leaves are getting, you know, turning different colors. So I thought that was really important and really just exciting for me. So I wanted to make a film about it.
I think that's really interesting. I mean, I actually had that same experience, like looking out my window like every day, watching the tree come to life and bud, and never really noticing that because we move so quickly, right? We're moving so quickly that we don't notice that. Diamond, what about you? And I'm a Robot.
Hey, I'm Diamond. So, we're saying like our inspirations of the film.
A little bit about the film, yeah.
Oh, a little bit about my film is that it's like basically like what's inside like a person's mind during a quarantine. Well, for me it just felt like I was on like, it was just like I was like on a schedule or something. It was just kind of weird. Like I felt like I was just in one place and like I couldn't go out. So I wanted to like tap in and like, you know, make it like a different type of format and make it a little different. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a little weird, but I think it's unique in some ways.
Excellent. It is very much so. And Harrison?
Hi, my name is Harrison Svihla. I was the co-writer on Woke, which is the story of which was directed by Mónica, which is the story of a young a young woman who joins a diversity council at her local college, and it turns out to not be so diverse. And it's her journey, her internal journey, being shown externally about how she can make the world better and how she can improve everyone around her and how everyone improves around her.
And Vikiana, what about ACTIVIZED? Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So I am one of the subjects of ACTIVIZED, which follows around, I think, 4 activists from across the country that are dealing with issues in their own communities. So I do work in the violence prevention space. Others are doing work in terms of addressing voter suppression, immigration rights, all of that. It's really following the story of these people from across the country who are, I guess, taking the call to action and doing the work that needs to be done in their communities to create the changes that they want to see, especially in light of the recent events. I think this was filmed in around 2018. And so this is kind of, I guess, in response to the 2016 election and leading forward to the 2018 midterms. It was all directed by Eric.
Excellent. And Mónica, so you were in Woke. So if you can share with us your experience in being part of that. And then we'll move on to Juvan also about, because both you and Juvan and Vikiana were all part characters inside of a film that was created by these filmmakers.
Oh, well, I actually directed Woke.
Oh, gosh.
No, that's okay. Actually, Harrison just said a little bit about it. I guess I could just add that it was based on my own experiences moving here to the United States and just kind of trying to be a part of like the whole diversity and
Am I freezing or is
hello?
Oh, that's right.
Go ahead. I think you're good.
Right. So I was saying, it was just like based on my experience, just coming to the U.S. and experiencing like the diversity clubs and not feeling like they're quite genuine.
Right.
Yeah.
And Juvan?
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Juvan. Just a little bit about the film, you know, it's basically what Chris was saying, this young couple in high school basically get peer pressured into, you know, trying to like take each other's virginity and stuff. And it just turns out turning like south, and it just basically they're like the underlying message is just like, be careful not to allow like the outside noise, especially in a relationship, not to allow other people to voice their opinions and like ideas on you, because that can just really end up affecting your relationship, as you can tell in the film. And just shooting this film, it was very fun to film. Like I loved how some of the scenes turned out, especially because a lot of the scenes that we did were improvised, and you know we were hit with a lot of curveballs, but like we persevered and we pushed through. So yeah, I'm glad I got to be able to have the opportunity to bring this idea of Chris's to life, and shooting it was wonderful. It was amazing. So it's always a good time with him.
So why these films? Why were you guys so inspired to, and what message are you trying to have all of us understand and see by doing these films? I mean, there's so many of the films in the festival are really important for everyone to see, but more importantly, people are making films for the next generation and the younger generation to see. And I feel like with all of like Snapchat and Instagram and like all these social media sites and everything that are sort of like questioning and making people question who they are and their identity and all that sort of stuff. Why do you think it's important for your film to be seen, or do you think it's important for your film to be seen by the next generation that's coming up? And I'm going to throw it to Mónica.
Well, like is kind of like the most obvious.
Yeah.
Because it kind of touches a very like general sentiment of like people of color everywhere, of like not being heard or having that sensation of like being forced to be included, but not really being included. I actually, a lot of people, like even some of my teachers, who were few of the people of color in the staff of my school, and they actually expressed a very similar sentiment of like, well, I know I was added just as like one of the few people of color in the teacher staff, but I know there aren't really doing anything about it. Like they don't really want to hear my opinions. They just have me here for like a diversity quota. And I was actually kind of scared that the film would come off as like really in your face. But I was lucky to like work with Harrison and Charlie, another one of our team members, and they kind of helped me like balance that whole thing because it was a short film. It was my first time like writing comedy, so I think it's pretty important to just let people know that they're not that way, or maybe this is like their first time seeing this and they don't know they feel that way, and then they see this and it's like, oh wow, because this is like quite literally how I felt for like years, until I was like, well, let me just put that on paper and just throw it out there and see what happens. And it actually was fine.
Right. I mean, because there's an audience for everyone, right? And your film really speaks to that sense of, you know, and even invisibility in a sense, and feeling like, yeah, like you don't even care, like you don't even get it. And then, you know, people understand now your film can go out and people will be like, that's me. And now I have a representation of me. And now I can say, now people, let me show you my film. Let's look at woke. And this is sort of like my experience. I think that that's really important for all of them. So, Chris, what about you? Why, you know, I understand why you made this film, but why do you think it's important for, you know, a younger generation to see?
Okay. Well, to answer that question, I think the message in my story still carries on, in adulthood. And, I guess I can explain like this. How many people have Instagram? You can raise your hand. Okay. How many people are guilty that they scrolled past something that they weren't thinking about, whether it was like a vacation or somebody working out at the gym, and you're like, damn, you know what? I need that. It's that feeling of missing out. It's that feeling of letting other things influence you and kind of steer you off your own path. And I chose to tell a story about two teenagers because I feel like the youth is the most susceptible to that type of influence, and the culture is very strong nowadays, and it's, you know, as you mature in life, you start to realize these lessons. But I can remember back to when I was 16 how susceptible I was to influence, and I think it's important for young people especially to kind of just be reminded of that, and you know, to stay on their own path, and don't let others, you know, take you off your mission.
And Ashley, what about you?
I think for me, it's like we really take our earth for granted, and like with like the fires going on and the ice caps melting, we really need to take care of our earth now before it's too late and it's irreversible. So I feel like that was like a really big message, and I hope that people can take away like, wow, like this could go away if we don't do something about it.
And Diamond?
I wanted to like, I feel like the generation should see my like the film that I presented, is because I feel like, you know, with the social media, like TikTok, Instagram, and all of that, I just feel like we're like stuck in this one space where I feel like we should like go out more and like, you know, not always be on the social media.
Vikiana? For ACTIVIZED, why is it important for people in ACTIVIZED to see this film and to understand your message and what you're doing?
Sorry, Vikiana?
Vikiana, yeah.
Word. I think it's really important for people to watch this film because a lot of us, the subjects of the film, we weren't, doing this forever. We're just regular people who saw a problem within their communities, banded together and started doing the work, engaging with their communities, having those conversations, empowering folks. That's the type of energy we need right now. This global pandemic has, I think, exposed a lot of things a lot of systemic things that are wrong with this country. And so it's going to take regular folks to, do what needs to be done and to band together, to learn those skills, to train each other, to get the work done. We can't wait for people to save us. We have to save ourselves. And I think that message shows true throughout the film. The fact that, the essence of, I guess, America is, to fight for our freedom. Unfortunately, not everybody was included in that freedom when it was founded, but we can make it that everybody's included.
Right. I mean, I think all of your films sort of speak to that sort of, this is my voice. This is what I need you to hear. This is what you need to hear. And I feel like media is such an important and impactful way to tell these stories and for you to share these stories and to get people involved in the things that you are passionate about. And I think that all of your films, that comes across, is the passion you have for what you're putting forth, and I commend you for that. I'm wondering if we don't have much time, but if you can talk just really briefly about any sort of challenges or surprises. There was a question that may have come up that may have, like, when you were doing this, like, didn't think was going to happen, or even any reactions that you might have had from people when you were doing your films. Because I think that's also an important part of filmmaking, and maybe that you might have had to pivot in some way or another, or include something that you didn't think that you were going to have to include. And this can include, everyone who's on our call today. So why don't we start with Harrison?
To answer that, we had a really big challenge in, like Mónica said, we wanted to not come off as so in your face. Mm-hmm. And we wrote this while we were in our class. So we had our peers that were looking at it and that were telling us, yeah, this is too much, or no, this is too much. And then there'd be times where there was a lot of tension in the room, and we wanted to make sure that we were getting our message across, but we weren't sacrificing it for the sake of the film. And then on top of that, we also had a very large cast. We had 6 or 7 people, and we had a lot of crew. And that proved to be a very big challenge because we had to work around all those schedules. We had to, at one point, we lost the light, so we had to stop an entire day of shooting. And then we recorded outside in the middle of winter, and it was cold, and it took a lot of work from everybody. But I'm very happy with our result.
Well, you guys got indoctrinated early. You've already, you've hit all of the milestones of what happens to you when you film. You're like ready to go into your feature. So Ashley, what about you? Anything that surprised you, or anything challenges that you might have had?
A big challenge for me is, like, I had to do it all by myself, except for, like, the one time my dad helped me film. But, like, it's hard because at school I'm working with 2 or 3 other people, and I have, like, things that aren't my phone, and I don't have a tripod. So I had to make angles, like, on my bed or, like, on a countertop, and I had to, like, work it out on my own, which was challenging, but, like, it was also kind of fun to do, just to, like, think outside the box.
Great. Diamond?
So for the first challenge, like, I wanted to, like, make sure, like, the way I edited it, like, I don't know, like, I have a vision, and I wanted to make sure I see it in a certain way, so it could kind of, like, make sense in my mind, if that even makes sense. But and also, like, a reaction, like, to what my teachers had, and also my family. I wasn't expecting the reactions that I was getting, like, because it was, like, kind of like my first time doing this, so I'm really grateful for that.
And Chris?
Wow, there's way too many challenges.
I know. All right, summarize it, because we have like 30 seconds.
Yeah, for sure. I would just say the biggest challenge is to I'm gonna just say the power of the edit is very powerful, and
Yes.
and a lot of things came out and they weren't scripted or planned that way at all. So I would say the biggest challenge was having everybody on board, and shout out to people like Juvan and my family who helped me out, and along with some other crew. But having everybody on the same mission is definitely gotta do that first.
Yeah, I mean, filmmaking is a collaborative effort, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're doing it alone, there's someone there who's helping to support you and help you get through it. Vikiana, what about you?
Yeah, so the film follows around 4 people in like 4 different places. But for my section, we are actually trying to film in the State House. So that's a little bit challenging. Got to get everybody's permission. You don't really see like huge cameras following around like a tiny teenage girl all the time in the State House. So it was like very interesting to see those conversations come about. But also during the film, there were scenes from a 50-mile march that I did the previous summer, or was it, or like sometime beforehand. And so that was footage from actually another documentary that the director was able to get and put inside the film.
And editing that together. As always. And Mónica, do you want to add to any of those challenges that Harrison talked about? I'm sure.
Yeah, just to add on to that, the casting was something that I was so worried about, and part of the reason why I wrote the film that way, like majority white cast and then like just a few people of color, was because I knew that was going to be an issue, and it was just a reflection of what I went through. And luckily I was able to find a couple of actresses I wanted to audition, but it was really hard. I mean, we didn't even find them through a casting process per se. Like I found them because I worked at the library, and we had to know their majors when they signed in. So I was like, oh, I feel kind of guilty because I was kind of typecasting like however they looked. And I was like, well, you look kind of ethnic, so let me just see if you want to audition for this. But it turned out pretty fine. And I tried to work around that whole issue.
I mean, that is great. That's just like being resourceful. And that's what you need to do, right, to be a filmmaker. And Juvan, what about you in filming it and doing it? What did you?
Yeah, to piggyback off of what Chris was saying, there was definitely a lot of things that were thrown our way that we did not expect to happen. But yeah, we had some, like just with like casting, like some like, you know, unreliable folks decide not to, you know, show up, and we had to like in like full scene, like we had to like from scratch, we had to like on the day had to like rehearse a new scene. And it was the gym scene that we did.
Yeah,
the gym scene. I remember we were just like rehearsing it and just like going over it, and like I had to bring my cousin in, and
yeah. I gotta say this. One of the people in that scene came off the street that day, just like God sent him, and he was just like,
you know something, and that is the beauty though of what you all do. That is the beauty of like independent film, right? Is that you have your family, your friends. You know, you need someone to jump in and do something, and it all ends up working out in the end. And I am so sorry that we need to end our conversation, because there's so much more I know that went into your films and making your films, and I can only hope that that you continue to make them, that we can continue to support them and screen them at RoxFilm. You know. We're very focused on supporting, you know, next generation content and also local content. And I think that what you all have done is really incredible. And for your passions and what you're doing, I just hope that you are very successful, and I'm sure you will be, because you've already shown that in the work that you've presented to us at RoxFilm. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much for being part of the festival. Please go out and watch a bunch of other films. You have until midnight on Monday to catch up on some of the films, and then the festival will be over. So thank you very much. Really appreciate all of your effort.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.